Have you ever wondered why some real estate agents perform at ultra-high levels every single year? Welcome to the Unstoppable Agent Podcast with your host, Richard Fournier. Each week, we interview real estate agents from around the world who are constantly ranked in the top 1% of the real estate industry. My mission, share with you their best strategies so that you can create your own peak results as a real estate agent. It's time to become unstoppable.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of the Unstoppable Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Rich Fournier, and I am super excited to have two lovely people with us, superstars in the world of real estate. They own their own brokerage, and they were such a hit on our last podcast. We had to bring them back. Thank you for coming here, Todd and Cindy.
Hey, Richard. Hey, thanks for having us on. Always fun talking to you, and always love to touch base and see what's going on, both of us.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having us back.
Listen, our last podcast, I mean, with you guys on it, that one episode went viral for our market. And, ended up in 13 countries. And you guys have performed really, really well over the course of your career. And of course, this podcast is about what does it take to become an unstoppable agent in the world of real estate? And I mean, you have different areas of specialties, but I do want to just go backwards a little bit. So our audience, which is an international audience, well, they want to know who you are and what you've accomplished, right? And because results mean everything in our world. So I mean, you've been around the business for 26 years, modular homes, real estate, individual transactions, commercial real estate, mortgage financing. You were ranked in the RealTrends top realtor in California for the past 5 years. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment, right? That's how I found you originally, right? My assistant found you. You run 8 companies, which includes Realty World, Todd Su and Company Inc., and Advantage Homes, which is the largest modular home dealer in the state of California. I mean, together, both of you are responsible for an astonishing 6,000 transactions sides, right? Close over 26 years in business. You currently are averaging over 300 transactions a year personally. I get overwhelmed and exhausted hearing about those accomplishments. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Right? Does that, when you hear that spoken by someone else, do you go back and say, oh my God, what a crazy career we've had?
Yeah, I mean, we're blessed to be able to have those many transactions. We don't count it. I don't know. It's what is it? They say never count your chips when you're at the table. Right. We never count how many transactions we sell every month. Obviously, each one counts and each customer is important. But I think above all else, we look at reviews. We look at whether or not our clients were happy with us and how many referrals we get. But I think the numbers just naturally happen organically once you just continue to do the right things. Some things that we felt that we were lucky enough that our mentors shared with us a little bit of what to do early on. And we just continue to do those things daily, monthly, weekly. And obviously we have goals that we want to hit every quarter. But the main thing is we felt from the very beginning that our referral base was going to be the most important thing because our competition had way more money to advertise than we did. So we had to beat them a different way. And so we had to re-engineer it to hit our strong suit, which was our face-to-face conversations, our relationships, and just doing the right thing and what makes sense, not necessarily financially, just the right thing for what someone would say is reasonable. So.
Right, it makes sense. So when you look back when you got started, so you were around 26 years ago, is that the number, right? So you were what, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11 when you got started? And I'm sure that when you got started, I say this to everyone, but I'm sure you got started, someone gave you a Rolodex. As you can tell how old I am, I'm using the Rolodex language. But someone gave you a Rolodex of thousands of people who want to buy and sell real estate. I'm sure that happened to you.
Yeah, all day long.
Right. So when you look back and, how did you get started in the transaction real estate world? Like, what did that look like? Was it hard? Was it easy for you to get started?
Um, I think everything says, not overnight do you do 6,000 transactions.
Right.
You don't become the largest modular dealer in California, and you don't get in top 10 real trends just overnight. Obviously, it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of time and effort. Having a great partner like Cindy, being the yin and yang is going to be, you're going to be blessed with something like that. You have someone that's going to man the fort while you travel and try to open other offices. You have to have a good partner, and I'm blessed to have my good partner and life partner with Cindy. So she's kind of had an interesting background. If Cindy, you want to share a little bit about your background, so people kind of understand the hard work that was instilled in us at a young age. You can share that, Cindy, real quick with.
I would love that. I would love that, because on our last podcast, Cindy, you shared from the heart, and I was really emotional around that, because like the hardship you endured to get to this point, or even just to get here into the US, like it was a big deal. So please share a little bit.
Yeah, I started out when my dad left Vietnam when I was 5 years old. He left my mother and two younger brothers in Vietnam with us. Passing forward, he got to America, but then he have either personal challenge or met someone new. We never knew. That was a secret. But no communication with us for about 10 years. During that time, my mother and two brothers lived very, very poor. So I had to go out and find jobs, one job after another at 8 years old to support my mom and brother. So unfortunately, we've lost the middle brother due to diarrhea. We couldn't afford to pay medicine. So then that's forced me to have to go find a job, because I didn't want my mother or my younger brother to die. So I've learned how to work hard when I was 8 years old.
Wow. Wow. And I want to invite our listeners. We will post a link to that previous podcast where you went into detail around that and about the struggles associated with that. And quite frankly, I mean, for anyone says that they're having a hard time here, they gotta get out of their own way, because what you went through was extremely challenging. So thank you for sharing that story with us. And then when you get here, to start off, like, listen, let's be honest, the real estate industry is very competitive. And I want to get to the other companies that you developed, because you started, I'm assuming, just in the real estate business, and then gained success in that area, and then took that revenue and expertise and launched other businesses. And our industry is primarily focused on, the transaction business. So when you get started, was it knocking on doors? Like, I know it's old and repetitive for you, but our listeners, some of them are struggling today with the shift in the market, post COVID. And so can you just explain how much work you put in to get started?
I think initially there's a lot of hard work that people don't see in the background, but some of it was fun. Some of it was part of the grind. But I think the funniest story I would say would be when we could barely afford marketing materials. So we were walking into low income communities, and just as if you were delivering newspapers, we were delivering advertisements to certain communities and getting chased by dogs to try to save 10 cents on postage. Back then it was like 23 cents for postage. We were trying to save, 23 cents a home. And if we could walk 300 to 500 homes and we could just make one contact, we ended up, at least every time we'd go out, we'd meet somebody standing outside in their yard, and we would talk to them. I think those who have grown up in the secondary age, where they didn't have to go to Blockbuster and look behind the video to see if the video was there, or had the rotary phone, we were instilled with cold calling. We were instilled with door knocking. So we're used to doing that kind of thing. And 23 cents per house, 300 houses, that's a couple $100 that we could save towards gas for our own marketing, because obviously we couldn't afford it. So I think going out there and remembering the stories, going out during Christmas to hand out little calendars to folks, and getting really to meet people, and that person telling the story to somebody else who's thinking about listing their home, is something that I think this age, they go on the internet to do stuff, to do social media. We did it more grassroots. And even to today, when we feel like there's a little bit of a drop, I'll go out to a park and I'll give out toys to kids, or or Cindy and I will go to a charity event and spend some more time with people, shake some hand, kiss some babies, how we were taught growing up. So I think that's something I think I can share with your viewers. I don't know if the younger crowd can connect to that or not, but we always get back to basics when we lose our way. And that's how we find our way back.
Right. And doesn't it make sense? Like, so we are humans, right? And so like I can sit here and watch, and it's really, I watch you guys run. I watch, like, you have this running thing, and it's a great to watch, and you inspire me all the way here in Toronto, right, from California. But when I look at our industry, we get so caught up in the shiny, video looking great. Look at me. I look amazing. And so what? The consumer's saying, hey, what about me? What about my life? Where am I today? How are you going to help me in whatever it is that I'm doing? And I feel like the people that do, they use some of the new technology, but the people that are old-fashioned, belly to belly, doing the things seem to be producing still to this day at the higher levels. And whenever they lose, they go back to the old ways, and it works.
Yeah. You look at, I hate looking at people, talking about this. Probably somebody's going to kill me. I don't know if you invest in Bitcoin or NFTs or all of that. There's always some new thing that people get wrapped up in. And I just tell everyone, you know what, stick to what you know well. Real estate's always paid. There's always a downtrend, but then there's always going to be an uptrend. So I feel confident telling my friends, my family, invest in real estate, and then it'll always come back. It may be a downtrend, but it won't come back. You won't lose your shirt and go with one of these trends, because there is no secret recipe to getting rich quick. So going with something like a Bitcoin or NFT, whoever has invested those are probably going to shoot me and kill me and all the messaging. But for me, I'm lost in that. I had several of my friends try to convince me that that's the next thing since sliced bread. Just going back to, hey, how do you do it? And go back to what you did that made you successful in the past, and just being able to get that face to face. Every time someone wants to spend the whole conversation talking about price, commissions, closing costs on the phone, I get completely turned off. It's like almost going out on the date and taking you home before you even, go take them out to dinner, kind of thing. Hey, wait a second. We need to get to know each other first. Hey, let's make sure it works for both of us, not just me and not just you. If it's all about commission, if it's all about the price, then I'm probably not your agent. But if it's about relationships, it's about, hey, you can call me and I'll pick up the phone rather than just a text message. Text messages are great, but I'll come and meet with you face to face and talk to you, not just, you know what, I'll message you, or as they say, sliding into your DM. These young kids these days, I don't know what all that stuff's about. Give me the grassroots, hey, handshake and hug. I'll take that all day long.
Well, you listen, like I don't know anyone like you. Okay, so I think for our audience, success leaves clues. And I think it's really important that we forget we're dealing with human beings. People have fears, they have ego, they have desires, and sometimes they're lonely and they need people to be in their life. How much, because it struck me during our last conversation 2 years ago, how much would you attribute your mindset and your belief systems to the success that you've had? Like, because it struck me how much time you invested in your mind, cultivating your mind.
I think wasting time is one of the worst things that you can do. A lot of people, they spend hours scrolling on their social media. They're doing all that. Our kids and ourselves on a Sunday, we don't post it all the time. You probably see it from time to time that we post that we go to Barnes and Noble and read books on Sunday. And it's not, hey, our kids went gung-ho and they all started wanting to read. No, wait a second. We started off with Cindy's principle on, let's give them what?
15 minutes reading.
15 minutes on reading whatever you want. It could have been a comic book. It could have been, a magazine, an article about whatever, something paper that you can pick up. But read just for 15 minutes. But what that start includes is that they'll begin to want 30 minutes. They didn't finish what they wanted to read, and now it develops into several hours.
Wow. And
they look forward to it. And again, but now they go, well, why am I spending 15 minutes reading about Marvel Comics when I can read about, hey, instead of buying a book for $60, Now I can read it at Barnes and Noble, and we allow only one book up to $30 that they can buy every time we go to Barnes and Noble on a Sunday, and anything else they can come back and read the next week if they want, so that they have some parameters to what they want. Or we can buy it used on Amazon.
Right.
So it starts out with something small and it just becomes bigger. And I'll be the first person to tell you myself, I'm thinking, hey, Cindy, I want to swing some deals. I want to get some stuff done. I want to return calls. And Cindy was actually the first person to kind of push me and just say, hey, why don't you open up and read with the kids a little bit? And then I'm like, hey, you know what? I just learned an idea or a marketing idea that's going to make us exponentially more money by just opening up my mind and reflecting, and then just taking notes and going, hey, let's go ahead and do that. How many times you come up with that idea and not write it down? So having that quiet time to reflect makes all the difference in the world.
Cindy, you did a lot of, I think last time we spoke, you really focused on development of your mind, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. Is that a practice that you still take to heart every day to keep yourself emotionally strong in this crazy real estate business?
Yes, I used to do that, and I do even more now. I don't know if the listener can relate to me, but being a partner and married to a partner is to live with a partner 24/7,
Sure.
and running multiple businesses, 2 kids, and make sure they grow up, disciplined. It's a lot of work. So I every day and every night I listen to audio books. Some spiritual, some business advices, some couple advices. And doing my workout, doing my cooking, doing my cleaning, so I just make time. Because there's no more than 24 hours a day to do it.
That's true. Right. I mean, podcasts and whatever I can do to get information into this brain, because I need all the help I can get. Right. So when you looked at developing your team in real estate, and then you've moved on as well and added to that, how did you get started? Like, did you have more business than you could handle when you brought agents in, or was that like a real focus to say we're bringing people in and then we're going to get the business? How did that play out?
So start out with Todd started the business first with his brother, and things didn't work out. So I met him maybe 2 years later, right? After that, 2 years later, after I dropped out of my dental school, I was going to be a dentist. Yeah. But we didn't plan to grow big or do anything extra. We just wanted to outwork people because that's all we got. So we worked really hard, and we hit the stumbling block where financing wasn't available for us, meaning our customer getting loan approval, but then it fall apart one after another. And we got frustrated because all we wanted to know is like how to make it work. And the loan officer at the time didn't give us the alternative to how to make it work, either more down payment or lower price or different areas or something like that. So Todd had advised me to go learn how to do loans. So I went out and learned how to do loans. And then about 60 days later, we came back and we opened a loan department.
You just opened just like that. So you decided, okay. So, I just, it's not working out. I don't believe what people are telling me. Things aren't working out. So, I'm going to go learn it. And then I'm going to open my own department around it and not worry about what other agents are doing. I'm just going to do what we want.
And we continue that with adjacent businesses to what our main focus is. And after that, we start to see, and they're all kind of derived from our customers, right? They weren't getting good enough financing. They weren't getting a good enough service. So we were overloading our loan officer with too much business. And they weren't able to give them the service that we wanted. So we're like, hey, you know what? Cindy has the ability, she can get the licensing, and then I can help run it with her. We can do it together. So we did that. And then we did the same thing with our construction company. So we opened a construction company, and having someone who has, just got her nails done and going in to get her contractor's license, it was probably the funniest thing these contractors had seen. A delicate Asian flower going in and going to get her contractor's license. But we did what we had to do to make the company, because I'm more of the relationship person. Cindy's more of the grassroots nuts and bolts on getting the paperwork done and getting the licensing done. Eventually, I ended up getting the same licenses with her, but we needed her start to do it so I could kind of do it when I had time. And so once she's already done that, she just educated me on it and then gave me the cliff notes, and then I ended up being able to get the licensing as well on a lot of those sides.
Okay, so you created your own brokerage, your own real estate brokerage. Can I just stop there for a quick second?
Yeah, sure.
Like, and this is not this is just a really curious question. Why your own brokerage and not join any of the incumbents, like the other bigger name brands? Like, was there a strategic decision around that, or was it just you just didn't want to?
You mean as a broker associate, or you mean to have our own brokerage, as in? Because initially we didn't have a brand name. We had a Golden State Homes, and then after that we got Realty World, Golden State. Again, after the Golden State Warriors that I
right. I was wondering, I was going to ask you that. But no, like for example, like I operate as an agent under a brand, right? Not my own brand. I'm not going to name any of the brands, but like there was the brand. So did you ever consider like going under the bigger name brands, like national brands, real estate broker?
Well, to be honest with you, we had a discussion and we talked about it, and based upon our business model of being lower income, and we had built a name. I mean, and I didn't even know it. And Cindy actually had discussed it with me and said, you know what, your name, Todd, is synonymous with our community. And I go, well, what do you mean? You said you shouldn't name it Realty World Golden State. I mean, everybody knows Golden State Warriors, but that's not going to give us the reputability we need. She said, well, why don't we focus on what people recognize? It's your name. Right. And that's going to, I said, well, I don't want to alienate my agents and make them feel like, hey, I'm marketing myself. She goes, no, how many more people are going to call because they see your name on the sign? Your agents care about making more money. They care about a brand that's going to help them to get confidence, that they can feel comfortable being under, and that's your name. So get a little bit of a brand, it doesn't have to be the largest brand name out there. And just give them good service and put it under your name. And your name is probably bigger than that. But some people who don't recognize your name by itself needs that little extra boost. Then we have Realty World. So we don't need, again, we won't name a bunch of different brands, but there are a lot of great brands out there. Yeah. We didn't need to pay, those astronomical amounts for additional marketing. We didn't need the marketing. We could barely handle the business that we had. So that's why we put that under the umbrella, and Cindy and I, we discussed it and we said, this is probably the best route. And the business kind of exploded from there. And we kind of really focused on that lower end clientele, which is what we're passionate about, helping people get from that lower level to the mid to the high level in a slower pace. And with that, we didn't need a stronger brand. We didn't need to piggyback on that.
Got it.
If I can add to that.
Please.
I think it's the culture that we want to cultivate, because naturally Todd and I grew up poor. So we wanted to have a company where people valued humanity and help people that are underserved. So going to a bigger brand, we cannot change the method, whatever they created. So we're after a challenge of creating our own company culture. So
I love it. No, I'm excited for it. And I find it very inspiring that you decided to forego international brands and say, you know what, we're just going to create our own name, our own brand, and make it work. We're going to create our own culture, our own strategies. And I think it's brilliant. And I think that it's the road less traveled. And the rewards are much greater because it's the road less traveled for our audience, right? So I think it's a lesson there is go against the grain and do your own thing. Become your own person, right? And that's a message. So the story is, so you create this brand, and you're door knocking, you're hustling. And I don't mean hustling in a bad way. Like you're working, you're grinding, you're walking the streets, creating business. And over time, you gather enough of a reputation to get some more business and then some more business, but you don't stop. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. What drove you to go to the next level? Like aside from the finance world, what drove you to then expand, to opening your doors to new agents and then from there opening up new companies, construction companies. Now you're the largest modular home distributor in California. Like, what drove you to go to that next level?
Yeah. 9 or 10 years ago, I think our thought process, being the largest resale modular company in California, we were pegged by a manufacturer to take over their company. And they asked us if we would take over their company, the largest new home modular company in California at that time. They had asked us to run it. However, one of the caveats was that we would have to fire a lot of people because it would be double infrastructure because it's two companies. But we had people that were working for us for 15, 20 years, 12 years. And it just didn't make sense to us that we would forego, our relationships with them to just to run this company, even though it was going to be very lucrative for us. We knew we would be able to do a good job. But I think we had walked out of the meeting telling them thank you for talking to us, and hey, we're thank you for offering to us, but we wish we could buy you,
Right.
Joking, because we didn't think we had the financial wherewithal to do it. And then they said, why don't we come back into Morton Steakhouse and have a nice drink and talk some more? And we looked at each other like we were shocked. And so we came back in and they worked it out. We did a payment plan and we were able to pay them off in 5 years and be able to accomplish it. But at the time of the acquisition, we went, oh my gosh, if we fail, we're going to lose everything.
Right.
I mean, this is a way bigger ship. We had about 30 something people, and now it was going to be 180 to 200 people. It was going to be, 15 offices. We were like, well, why do we do that? We could retire right now.
Right.
What are we thinking? And so we thought about it. We had a couple restless nights, but ultimately we said, it's the challenge. It's like, what are we capable of? How many lives can we touch? How many people can we help to be successful? And this is a way that we can see what we can do. Worst case scenario, we go work for a brokerage. We still make good money, and we start over again. I'm sure someone would partner with us and do it. So we went, worst case scenario, it wouldn't hurt our lifestyle, and we could go back and we could grind again and we could do it. So I think feeling that, we didn't have anything to lose, we went for it, and it's paid off.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you had a lot to lose. And let's be honest, it sounds like you had a lot to lose, right? Because to go back and recreate a brand, the brand again, and maybe get back in the trenches every day is not easy for a lot of people. So,
well, for us, honestly, we were excited, to take on the challenge. But because if we fail the first time, we talked to each other. It was like, at least we know how to navigate it, and we know all the relationships. So next time we'll do even better. So yeah, there's no going back.
Right. There's no going back, right? And we know what not to do the next time. Right.
Exactly.
Fair enough. What advice would you give to, because our audience is primarily agents who wanting to grow to the level that you're at. And how many agents just to digress a bit, you still have your real estate brokerage and you're still involved in the resale market.
Mm-hmm.
And how many agents would you currently have on the resale side?
I think total we have about 160. We have a team, a corporate staff of another 20 something. So I want to say a total of about 180 agents and staff that we manage and run. And so it's a little bit of a big ship.
Is that excluding the modular home?
It's everything included. It's everything included.
Still, that's unbelievable. And right, all from trying to save 23 cents per door and saving $200 by knocking on doors.
There are wonderful people, though. We don't have to do a lot of micromanaging. Great people, and this is one advice for new business owners out there: hire someone that have 3 special traits. This is what Todd and I are looking for. They have to have a good heart.
Yeah.
They have to be patient, and they're willing to learn. If the initial interview and we don't feel that they have those traits, we would not train them. We would not hire them. We would tell them to go somewhere, try it out, and see if they really like the business and come back and see us. Because once we bring somebody in, we will make sure they are successful. So
their heart is number one.
Yeah, their heart is number one. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Because if someone come into the business, a commission business, and all they think about their commission, then they are going to be limits to how many homes they're going to sell. But if their purpose is to help the other individual or that family to have a home, then that one sale can turn out to be 2 or 3 sales by referrals. So that's what we tell them. And before they even come on board, sign the paperwork, we bring them to our company. We give them a grand tour of who we are, what we're about, every department they can see and greet and know all the people. And then let them feel like this is the right people that they're going to be part of. And if they don't like it, that's okay, before we sign anything.
That's amazing. So if we don't mind me asking, this attitude of faith, this attitude of belief, where did there's a lot of competition out there. Okay. Where did this attitude of belief and faith come from? It's a hard question.
A hard question, right? I think it's for me is because I was rock bottom. Like I had nothing before I met Todd. I was just in dental school as a student. So I had 2 degrees, but I couldn't even find a regular job that made me happy, right? But when I joined Todd and he gave me the freedom to be as creative I can be to grow the company, I really enjoyed it. So I have faith in us growing the company to the next level. I read a lot more than I used to. So now, but when I read, I really like the companies like Southwest Airlines, Walmart before Amazon came on board. But these are the companies that are affordable but friendly and nice company to work for. Right. So we've always dreamt to build that company to go grow big but small. Big in numbers of agents, but small in terms of processes and layers of management.
So it wasn't designed around just doing transactions. Like you start out, you're in your mind, you're like, we're growing multiple companies and serving people and hiring people. It wasn't just, let's see how many transactions we can do. It was like, no, we want to build an infrastructure.
Yeah. And I think with my take's a tiny bit different from Cindy's, is where when I was working at the gas station across from my high school, where we did full service and pumping gas. And I don't know, you may remember this. Some others, those viewers probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but you older viewers will know. When people pulled in, there's a little ding ding. We would know that the car showed up. We'd come to the car and we'd pump the gas. But what I was taught by my manager was, hey, you know what? Ask them if they need to put air in their tires. Go ahead. If you see their windows dirty, go ahead and wash their windows. So I didn't know any better than to do what I was told, right? And the smiles I got from people, even though there was full service back then, not everyone washed the windows. Not everyone put tires, air in the tires. Not everybody asked them, hey, you want me to check your oil for you, while you're getting your gas. And just sitting up, and I remember, again, hearing the ding ding sound, I'm on my hands and knees cleaning the toilet inside a bathroom. And my friends are out going on a Saturday night, going out partying in their new Mustang convertible turbo. I look up and I see them. I go, I want to be that one day. I don't want to be cleaning these toilets. So the resiliency to just think about, oh, you know what, this customer is being a jerk, or, hey, they're being unreasonable. I go, oh, this is nothing compared to what I used to go through. And so how can it be any worse than cleaning toilets and bathrooms and getting on my hands and knees and seeing my friends go out while I'm sitting working? So I don't think anything can measure to that. So when my back's up against the wall, or I think I'm having a bad day, I think back to the times where I'm sitting there looking at the toilet and going, I don't want to be this. I want to be that. And so it's never that bad, and what Cindy always says to me, nothing good or bad ever lasts too long. So
there's seasons for everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's seasons for everything. Cindy, for the women out there who are, maybe they're getting involved in the real estate industry, or they're starting in the industry, or maybe they're, maybe their partner is wanting them to create more income, or they're making a different decision, or maybe they are just going off on their own and having to restart their life all over again. Mm-hmm. What advice can you give them today for the real estate industry so that they can make it?
I think the most important things being a woman in this industry is you gotta be professional. You gotta have a standard and know when to say no, right? So unfortunately, the world view women a little bit differently. So we have to be professional, no flirting, business is business.
Right.
Do not show home late, right? Because
Right.
it's not safe. And if they go out there showing home by themselves, they need to have a partner or tell a partner that where they go or their group where they go.
Got it.
Day in and day out, do the thing that they're supposed to do. Do the paperwork correctly. Do not meet stranger at a weird place that nobody knows. So those are the things is very important. For me, it's very important. And if they are in a relationship, that is the number one thing. They have to discuss and talk about their job. What intel, what do they have to do? Because if they dress up nice at 7:30 and they go out meet a customer at a dinner, eventually that husband or boyfriend going to be very jealous and their career going to end pretty soon. Yep. So that's my number one thing is make sure the partner knows what they're doing and bring the partner to the company events. So the partner gets to see the people that the agent is associated with, the company that the agent is part of.
Mm-hmm. It's great advice because, when I was first in the game, we had three babies, babies under 4, and I was out all the time. Like I was never home. And it put a lot of pressure on my wife, right? And then when we moved to a totally different geographic area, I said, I'm not doing it again unless you join me. Like it's too much on my own and I never see you and we're gonna get divorced. It's just too much. And so she got her license with me and then she looked at me and said, oh, this is what the job is, right? High pressure, always on the move, right? Really creating something out of nothing. And it was actually the best thing for our relationship. And then we had to figure out how to navigate being in business together. So that's great advice.
Yeah. It wasn't always peaches and cream with us though, 10 years into it, we almost hit a breaking point, and that's why we have that passion for helping other couples that do business together, especially in real estate or in other businesses where they need a shoulder to cry on. We didn't have anyone, so we had to fight it out and figure out, what our ideals were and what the purposes was and what we were trying to head towards together and becoming real partners and life partners. So I think that's what we kind of say, hey, you know what? It's not about making money sometimes. It's about, hey, how we help others also kind of pay it forward where we're able to help another couple that's working together in business and say, hey, you know what? Someone needs to step forward. Someone needs to take a step back sometimes in order to keep sanity. You don't have to always be right in order to make things right. There's not always going to be a winner. The winner is if you can stay together and be happy. And coexist.
That's right, 100%. Any last pieces of advice for the agent community out there, the team, the husband and wife teams right now in the business where maybe business has fallen off and they're not sure where they're going to find the next deal?
Well, for couples, my best of advice is, as a woman, know when to step down, meaning back up a little bit. Yeah. When go to meetings in front of friends, colleagues, do not talk down.
Talk down to your husband, like don't like you're your team, right? It's not it's right or wrong, right?
Right. That's one main advice I would say. Don't talk down to your partner or your husband in front of people. Just go home, yell at him, scream at him, throw him out the window. It's okay, right? But don't do anything in front of
right. You're united in public, right? Is right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me, I think being able to overcome situations where you think it's bad. The power of the laugh. I think Cindy says, "Why are you laughing at that?" I go, "It's better than crying." Right. And so I think when you get into situations where you think you're having a bad day, think about where you came from, number one, and number two is laugh. It's always going to pass. So I know it's something that's probably really simple, but hey, oh, that deal fell apart, and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny." What do you mean it's funny? We just lost 10 grand. I was like, hey, shit happens. I mean,
Right.
stuff happens. You can't control it. You don't want it to happen. We'll go get them next time. We'll go get the next one. So just laugh it off and don't let it eat you up. Don't let situations eat you up. Don't let situations with the family eat you up. Take a deep breath. Let it pass.
Right.
Even if it's a difficult time, you're going to laugh at it, a year from now. You're going to go, why was I even wasting my time and effort and angst on that? You can make more money, but that health, that spirit,
Right.
being able to keep on going through that day, that's what you need to drive you and get 2 more deals instead of losing that 1 deal. I think that would be my advice.
I think it's
I
great
have one
advice.
more thing.
Yeah, please, Cindy,
I have
come
one
on, tell me
thing
more.
I want to add is that maybe feed the brain with information that are beneficial for the business, whether it's learning online or go to the bookstores or reading something, but do not spend a lot of money on marketing stuff. Especially agents are not doing well right now. For those, do not spend the money. There's a lot of free information online and in on the social media that they can use for free. Mm-hmm. As far as for couples advice and stuff, Todd and I are available if anybody wants to talk to us just for 5-10 minutes and say, how do you deal with this? We're available, and we do that as a part of our give back to the communities. We help couple who go into the business together and they face challenges and stuff. That's our passion. So once a month we picked out a couple that we just kind of help them.
That's amazing. Well, this is what the idea behind the Unstoppable Agent, right? Like seriously, like at the end of the day, it's a lonely business out there, right? And people like to show boat and be really flashy, but the truth is very lonely. Very few agents perform at a very high level. Very few. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving of your time. Listen, you're one of the very best in the industry, both of you. Like you're top of 1/4 of 1/2 of 1% in the industry. Not only in the resale market, but in the business market. So thank you for sharing with us some of your wisdom. And if anyone has some thoughts around maybe just asking them some questions, feel free to reach out to them. And all of your contact information will be below this podcast. And we appreciate you. And when you're ready to expand into Canada, well, maybe we should have a conversation.
Sounds good. Can't wait to see you in San Francisco when you come to the Bay Area. Can't wait to see you.
I look forward to being over the border soon. Okay. Thanks again, guys. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you like what you've heard and you're interested in creating a quantum leap in your real estate business, here's what I want you to do next. Head over to www.theunstoppableagentprogram.com and book an appointment to speak with our team. We'll get on a Zoom call with you for about 30 minutes and get you crystal clear on 3 things. Number 1, what do you really want out of your life and your business? Number 2, what is not working for you today? And number 3, the exact mindset strategy you should be using to create massive change in these areas. Remember, creating massive, consistent results in your real estate business does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance to make it happen. We're helping clients all over the world create peak results in their real estate business. To see if we can help you do the same, head over to www.theunstoppableagentprogram.com. We'll chat soon.